Hey, what's going on, guys? Brandon here with Texas Plinking, making a video that I think is going to be a lot of fun, but certainly necessary, and one that I could have for sure used getting into this subject, and that is thermal. If you guys are subscribed, you guys know that I've been talking about it a lot more, and of course I keep saying, because it's getting a lot more obtainable, and with that, there's a lot more options, more than ever before, and so the waters could be a little bit murky, and thankfully, it's a lot harder to go wrong than it is to go right. Most of the options out there that I see are pretty good. To be fair though, there are some gimmicks, some brands out there, won't have to name names because honestly you guys have never heard of them and probably never will. But you know, a year or two ago, I've had brands reach out to me, want to send me a thermal, and they're like under 500 bucks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this going to be the best thing since sliced bread? And then sure enough, they're gimmicky and it's not even worth making a bad review. I'd just rather not give them the screen time. They're just toys. Well, similarly, some brands have come kind of close to that price point, and to my surprise, they're not gimmicky. So in this video, I'm going to talk about an array of different thermal options. I'm going to cover 6 different manufacturers and brands. Some you may not have heard from. And there are going to be different kinds of thermals. Some are going to be dedicated scopes and scopes only, monoculars and monoculars only. Some of them are just clip-ons, and then some of them kind of do all three pretty well. I'm going to talk about things that are just under $700 all the way up to $3,000, I think is the most expensive from today. And even at $3,000, would you believe it, that is still considered on the more economic side of thermal. But I promise you this, nothing here is a gimmick. Everything here I have gotten to know fairly well, some more than others to be fair. We're going to go ahead and dive into it. Some of them, like I said, you've never seen on this channel before, and some you have. And that brings me to a point, I don't want to get too far ahead. You guys have known that I've done a good amount of content with DNT because I've been a big fan of them. And again, not trying to get too far ahead. We'll get there. We'll probably touch on them last just because I've covered them so much on the channel. If you guys have ever bought a DNT Hydra in particular, based off my recommendation, I do have good news for you. I was wrong about them in a good way, but the way you could use them is actually more versatile than I ever thought. And so, not to get too far ahead, but specifically in the clip-on mode, I was wrong about something, and I learned something very, very cool about them, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, I will say there is a lot of optics on the table here, and if I were to make a deep dive analytical review with each one of them, this video is going to be well over an hour long. Let's avoid that. This is going to be a crash course almost to where if you guys just want the surface level, you're going to get it. If you want any more, I hope I do enough, but if not, I very well might have gone a little deeper in a video on this channel or my second channel, Texas Plinking Gear. So check that out. And that goes for this one right here. This is the Rix ST6 Stride. If you guys haven't heard of Rix, they're based out of Richardson, Texas. This one right here is very unique in the fact it's the only one I have currently set up on a helmet setup. You can do it with some other ones, but I will say this one's probably most optimized for a helmet in the sense that this is just a monocular only. It's not a clip-on. It's not a dedicated scope itself. There's no reticle. There's no zeroing. Nothing like that at all. This is just a monocular. It's a high-end one as well, resolution 640 by 512. It's got a 26.7mm objective lens. It's got video recording. It's got Wi-Fi, so you could use it with your app. And it comes with an adjustable helmet mount to where it can move side to side and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't come with everything you need to mount it up to a helmet. You will still need to buy some kind of like this Wilcox mount. If you actually got one from Wilcox, you're spending, you know, $550 to $650 or something like that. To be honest, this one right here is from Amazon. It was like under $100. It's a knockoff, no better way to put it. But if you're trying to get helmet mounted thermal on a budget, this is kind of the way to do it. The optic itself, like I said, all things kept relative with what can really get out there. It is economic, we'll get there, but still this is the most expensive one of today. But I just thought I'd mention that. If you want to set up like this, you need a helmet. This is just a bump helmet, not ballistic. It's got this Wilcox-like mount, and that's it. Otherwise, it does come with the other adjustable mount. It's got profiles like white hot, black hot, iron, green, edge, and red. Not only the resolution and the size that makes it really good for a monocular, but the big thing here is the minimum zoom of 1x power. That just opens up the field of view like crazy. And you can zoom in just a little bit more beyond that, but honestly, for the use of a monocular, might as well just see as much field as possible. Wrapping up the crash course on it, it weighs 0.6 pounds, quite light. And the price point on it, if you go directly to Rix's website, it is $3,199, so call it $3,200. They are cool enough to hook it up with a coupon code, and that is Texas Plinking, and it brings it down to $2,999, so just a tick under $3,000. Not chump change by any means, that is certainly a big expense. And from the quality of it, from its uses, from its quality of the image, it is very much so punching above its weight in what it does to compare to $6,000 plus thermals that I've personally owned before. I no longer own them just because there's other options out there that do pretty similar jobs for a lot less money. So I won't tell you what to think in regards to price point. I will say just before you think $3,000 is a lot of money, I know it is. It's just all things kept relative. There are still some thermals out there that are 2, 3, 4 times the price of this, and the performance is so negligible if there even is a difference. But that's something to know with this. This ST6 Stride is probably my favorite thermal in this very, very specific application. It's nothing on gun. It's just more so for scanning and just the comfort of just wearing that thermal. Obviously, the comfort's going to depend on your particular helmet, but this system right here, I adjusted it perfectly for me, and it is so cool. In this video, I won't dive into the use cases of thermal compared to night vision, but just a real quick difference. Thermal is all about temperature contrast. You can use it in the day and the night, and it's much better at looking through, let's say, fog and stuff like that. You're not going to be seeing through glass, so if you wanted to see at night out of like your vehicle and you have glass windows, you're out of luck with that one. You're going to want to go night vision, but having both, you could almost bridge that and go night vision and thermal. Pretty darn cool. So that's the ST6 Stride. All right, moving on, let's go over to this brand here you guys may have heard about, but I've never showcased, and that is AGM. AGM is based out of Springerville, Arizona. Specifically, this is the Rattler V2 25-256, and that is designating the objective lens and the resolution. There are many other options out there for the Rattler V2, but the 25-256 is what I have here. This is a scope only. Resolution 256 by 192, 25mm objective lens. It's got 10 different reticles, video and audio recording, multiple different zero profiles to save as well. It's got Wi-Fi so you can connect it to your app, and it comes with an American Defense QD mount as well. Profiles like black hot, white hot, red hot, and fusion, and it starts at 3.5 times zoom. And that's like I was saying before. In the case of thermal, I personally like a wider field of view. I don't know why a lot of people, when first getting into shooting, especially with day optics, are obsessed with magnification. They want 25 or 36 times zoom just because it's awesome, right? But then as you start getting shooting with the day optic, you realize you don't need all of that. Very much so is true with thermal. I would say even more so, that the less zoom it has, the more I personally like to shoot with it. It weighs 1.08 pounds, and the price on it, MSRP, is $1,195. And again, that just shows how economic thermal can become. And that is the MSRP. I think retail, just street price, just looking around, they're just over $1,000. I think $1,052 or so on most, general websites. I do try my best to make it worthwhile to my viewers to watch my stuff and give you guys a coupon code. So when I have it, I will let you know. But in the case of that one, the price is just kind of what it is, and it seems to be off the MSRP already. But yeah, like I said, I'll keep you posted if there is any deal that I know of. Moving on over to another brand. This is ATN. ATN is based out of Doral, Florida. And this right here is the Tico LTV. I think I'm pronouncing that right. T-I-C-O. Anyway, LTV 320. This here, simply put, is a clip-on only. Now, if you wanted to, you could get a different eyepiece here, so it can be a monocular. If you put your eye up to this, it's just a very small viewing window. It can kind of work, but it's just not optimized for it. If you wanted to, you can turn it into a monocular, but out of the box, this is just a clip-on only. Resolution's 320 by 240, 25mm objective lens. And again, when you use this as a clip-on, it goes in the front of the optic. The menu system is not made for dedicated scope. There are no reticles, nothing like that. You just put it in front of your day scope. And when you do that, there's actually no zeroing to this to your day optic. If it's close enough, it's close enough. But otherwise, you're just kind of committing to running a thermal. And so you re-zero it with your day optic. Out of the box, it comes with a Midwest Industries QD mount as well, so that's handy. It's got black hot, white hot, red cold, green cold, rainbow, and inverted rainbow. And I would love to show you guys that, and I'll do my very best, but there is no onboard recording. Like with all of these as B-roll, I'm going to show you guys what you see through the optic. Unfortunately with this one, no onboard recording, so I'm going to do my best just filming with my phone, even though there's no eyepiece for it as a monocular, so maybe I have to film it through an optic. I don't know. I'm going to do my very best. Being that it's a clip-on only, there is no zoom. You just zoom in with your day optic, so you still can use your day reticle if it has, first focal plane and cool reticle options for you. You use that, so hope that you have illumination on that. And by hope, I mean you definitely need illumination on your day optic. Looks a little chunky, but the weight is under a pound. It's 0.9 pounds. And the price point on this is $1,995 full MSRP, but it's available at Midway USA for just under $1,500. Last I checked, it was $1,495. Hope that's still out there. No coupon code, nothing like that to share with you, but I do want to thank Midway USA because they did supply this for me for this video as well. So shout out to them. If you guys are interested in a just dedicated, simple clip-on only, then there's that solution for you. All right, up next, another brand I am brand new with, and that is Guide, or Guide USA for their US line. Guide is based out of Wuhan, China, but they also operate out of Utah, and they have a repair facility in Dallas. This is a thermal that is shaped like an LPVO, quite interesting. So let's go ahead and get into it. Specifically, this is the Guide TUC 3.0. Things to know about it, it's a scope only, no monocular, unless of course you just want to do one of these numbers here, which you can. But yeah, scope only, no clip-on feature, nothing like that. Resolution's 400 by 300, 25mm lens, 10 reticles, different reticle colors as well, video and audio recording, and it weighs just under a pound, 0.97 pounds without the mount. That's one thing to say as well, because it takes the shape of an LPVO, it does use your standard kind of mount, and it does come with this QD one, which is nice, and it's adjustable here as well to kind of almost cantilever it as well. Here's where things get interesting. Like I said, it takes the shape of an LPVO, but there's a screen right here at the very, very back of it. And it's a touch screen as well. That's how you go through your menu system, as well as some actual tactile buttons and rotary dials and stuff. But your screen's right here, and it's touch screen. So pretty intuitive. But what's not intuitive is the eye relief, because if this was a traditional day optic LPVO, you're going to view it right about here. That's too close, because again, this is just a screen. So you wouldn't put your phone that close to you. So really, this becomes the, comfortable length to use this, which is kind of interesting. It does have Bluetooth as well for connectivity, and the price is just over $2,000 for the full-on MSRP. Let me check my notes. It's $2,089, and they do have a coupon code. They hooked it up, and it's the same with all of them. It's Texas Plinking, not case sensitive, all one word, and that brings it to $1,880. Just a very different one in the sense that they try to more so emulate something that looks like a day optic and not something so space grade. And it even has a throw lever, so it goes from 1 to 8 is what it's labeled here for your zoom. But yeah, just for my quick impressions, I've only had this for a short period of time. The quality of it is quite nice. 400 by 300, can't argue that. All right, moving on, we are talking about Infitac, a couple offerings that they have, and I have made a full video with this right here, the FMP13 Fast Mini. But yeah, Infitac, if you haven't heard of them, because only I got familiar with them within the last year, they're based out of Allen, Texas, and they are just now starting to get pretty busy with some cool offerings, as we'll get into. So this one's not new. You guys have probably seen this before, but if not, I'll refamiliarize you guys with them. Yeah, the Fast Mini FMP13 is the only one on the table here that can be mounted onto a pistol, as well as other options as well. And I'll go ahead and show it. It's the smallest one by far and away as well. This is one of those that when they first contacted me, I said, sure, go ahead and send it over. And I thought it was gonna be a total gimmick. And in my honest impressions video where you saw my impressions develop real time, I was like, no, this thing's kind of neat. In fact, it's taking the recoil just fine, and all the applications are pretty darn neat. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into some of the specs, and I'll kind of talk about use cases. So the way you could use the Fast Mini is you just mount it to a rifle, simply put. You could put it on a pistol. You could cant it as well to where you have your main optic, and this just cants off to the side, so you have backup thermal, if you will. You could also piggyback it and put it on top of your dedicated day optic or whatever optic you're running, even if it's night vision. And the way you do that, though, is you do have to get different mounts from Infitac. And a lot of times when you bundle them, you save some money as well. Right out of the gate, though, it does come ready to go for an RMR footprint. So if you have a pistol for RMR, you're ready to go. If you have Delta Point, whatever else the case is, they have an adapter plate for you. And so in the video I made with this, I kind of try to show it in every use case possible. Right now I have it ready to go for a Picatinny rail. That's why it's just a little bit taller there. Resolution is 256 by 192. It's got a 13mm lens. It's pretty simple in the sense that there's no Wi-Fi to connect with anything, and there's no built-in recording, nothing like that. It's just straight up a thermal image. There's multiple reticles to choose from, different reticle colors as well. You go through all the menu system with the touchscreen on the back. You got white hot, black hot, red hot, and color. Minimum zoom of 0.5x, and then you can pinch zoom in for 1x. Those are your two options, and then back out for 0.5. Pretty darn simple. This little thing weighs just 1/4 pound. I will say though, it does use a non-rechargeable battery. Everything here comes with a battery and a charger. This one right here does use CR2 batteries, comes with 2 of them. Price point on this guy is $799, and for the longest time they just sold straight up at that price. I've been begging them forever and ever and ever to make it more worthwhile for my viewers, and they finally gave me a discount code, and it saves a little bit. So if you use code Texas Plinking, it does bring it to be just about $783 last I checked. It should still be active, but in any case, yeah, I'm glad I fought, finally got a coupon code, and as of right now, it's the best one out there. So saves you some money at the very least. And again, that is for this one right here. I also have another one. They do make them in FDE. I do believe they are a little bit more expensive, maybe 50 bucks or so. But yeah, FDE, which is more like a bronze, looks very, very cool, and black. And that, again, is the FMP13 Fast Mini. All right, and from one Infitac to the next one, this one is quite interesting. Very, very new release here. This is the Infitac IOL25. And it's interesting in the sense that aesthetically it looks kind of like an ACOG or something like that. But it is a thermal optic. It is a thermal monocular, of course. You could scan with this one as well. And cool thing, it is also a thermal clip-on all-in-one as well. On the IOL25, resolution is 384 by 288. Starting zoom of 2 times power, you could go all the way to 16, I believe. Of course, with that, you lose some resolution, but starting at 2, not too bad. Weighs just over a pound at 1.15 pounds. It's got a 25mm lens. It's got video and audio recording, 7 reticles to choose from. It's got Wi-Fi to connect with the app. It also comes with a QD mount as well, so that's very nice for all applications, but certainly for clip-on, just so you could go back to your day optic really quickly. But yeah, very cool. Comes with a QD. Color palettes, you've got white hot, black hot, red hot, color, and iron. Price point is just under $1,900 at $1,899.99, which is pretty much, let's just call it $1,900. Coupon code Texas Plinking does save you some money. Once again, it makes it $1,861 if I remember correctly. And so there is that. A very cool offering. Just came out new to the market, but from my quick experience with it, pretty darn cool and intuitive. Not much bad to say about this one. This one is pretty darn cool. All right, and wrapping it up on the tail end of it all, the last brand we're going to talk about is DNT, or Day Night Technologies, and they're out of Sugar Land, Texas. And I think they just now started getting a big presence in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if I'm not mistaken. In any case, though, I started getting familiar with them over the last year and have been very impressed. And so I'm going to talk about 3, but mostly 2, and that is the DNT Hydra line. And the one I'm holding here is actually the least expensive thermal of this entire comparison, and pretty hard to believe when we go through it. Specifically, this is the Hydra HS219. And what goes for all the Hydras is they are dedicated scopes, monoculars, and clip-ons as well. The clip-on thing I need to touch on because I've been wrong in previous videos, like I said. So can't wait to tell you about that. But again, that's all the Hydras, is a 3-in-1. Let's dive into the 219 a little bit more. Resolution is 256 by 192. It's got a 19mm objective lens, 8 reticles to choose from, video and audio recording, multiple different zero profiles for the dedicated scope option, as well as clip-on. Out of the box, it does come with a mount, but it is more of a basic mount that, you know, with a hex, you screw it onto the pick rail with 3 different points of contact, and it certainly works for your dedicated scope or clip-on. But DNT also offers optional mounts out there. Some of them are just QD, simply put, and some of them are QD with a swivel as well, which is more so useful for a clip-on feature. Color palettes are white hot, black hot, red hot, and iron hot. And with this particular 219, the zoom range is 2 to 8 times power. So starting at 2 is nice and wide, weighs under a pound at 0.83 pounds. And like I mentioned, the price point, full-on normal price is $776, but of course with coupon code Texas Plinking, it makes it to where it's just a tick under $700 at $699. And again, everything I just ran through is the HS219, currently the least expensive of all the Hydra series. Now, if we pick this one up here, this is the Hydra HS635R, which is, I think, the second most expensive of the Hydras, which is still pretty economic if you ask me, for everything it does anyway. It's like the 219, except quite a few things changed. For one, the resolution is 640 by 512. It's got a 35mm objective lens, minimum zoom of 1.5x. And that would be the end of it if it was just the HS635, and those can be had for just under $2,000 with that coupon code. But this one here being the 635R, it now has a laser rangefinder, which is what this little box is. And with that, it also couples it with a ballistic calculator as well. So I'll spare you guys the nitty gritty because I did make a dedicated video with this on this channel. So just check that out if you want with the 35R. But with the way it works is you go ahead and go into the menu. It's very simple to do as well. And you just put in all your ballistics, you know, your ballistic coefficient, elevation, all this kind of stuff, your bullet weight, velocity, the simple stuff like that. Then you hit the side button, it ranges the target for you, tells you how far it is, and then it shows you where to hold. It won't calibrate for wind or nothing like that, but for elevation it would, as long as you put your information in correctly. Hit that button, and then it'll tell you where to hold, which is especially nice for those really fat, slow rounds that you might be hunting with, like a subsonic 300 blackout or just any big pill that is subsonic especially. Pretty cool and useful there. But if you don't need that feature, you could usually save about $200 without going for the R model. And I'll touch on this real quickly. This is the DNT Thermnight, and when I mean quickly, it's because I did make a dedicated video with this a year ago, and that was my first outing with anything DNT. And that's where I really got my good impressions with them. This practically is like a Hydra, except there is no clip-on mode anymore. But it does have digital night vision as well. And with that, there's also a day mode. That's why you have some more lenses there. So very versatile, but you cannot use that as a clip-on. Now, going back to what I was saying, if you have a Hydra already, or if you're planning on getting one, something I wish I knew earlier, and I was so wrong, they can be used on more than just LPVOs. And I don't know how it took me this long to find this out, but from my experience, whenever I mounted this in front of an optic, and like let's say it's an LPVO, and I zoomed anything more than like 1.5, maybe 2 times zoom on my LPVO, the image just started getting really blurry and distorted. So I thought, oh, this is just meant to be used with like a prism or 1 time zoom on an LPVO. I didn't realize just how wrong I was because I didn't realize you just take this ocular focus, which is normally to focus for your particular eye, but you back it out all the way to where, not all the way, but enough to where you see like a little cross. It looks like a T. And that's usually the happy medium of where the objective lens of your day optic is going to be happy. You mount it, and then you might be fine-tune it a little bit just to make it extra happy. Then you could actually use your day optic to zoom in optically with the day optic. I was wrong, my bad, I'll own up to that one. But all that means is they are way more versatile than I even thought they were. Just for example, I have an EP8 1:8 LPVO from Arcan Optics. Now I could actually go from 1 all the way to 8 times zoom and still use my thermal as long as I focused it correctly. And it might be kind of fine tuning, but once you get it, you could use all the zoom range of your LPVO, which means especially on like a case like the EP8, it's a first focal plane. So you could use your reticle as your holdovers. Of course, you do want illumination just so you could use it at night, which is probably what you're going to want to do anyway. And so now that also means if you're trying to shoot even further, what if you don't start at 1 time zoom? What if you have like a 2 to 10? Then you can use that as well. Maybe like 3 to 18. You may not go all the way to 18 or even close, but you can use that long range, mid range scope with these clip-ons. I always thought it was just for like a 1 to 4, 1 to 6, 1 to 8, maybe 1 to 10. I was wrong. You could use them more than just the 1 times power, and that actually goes for all the clip-ons here, like I said. So the more you know. Anyway, this video is starting to get pretty long, so we're about to start wrapping it up here. But I just kind of looked over all the thermals I have, and I'm in a very fortunate position that for these videos I make, a lot of manufacturers are willing to send them out. So I thought it was an opportunity to kind of give you guys the crash course so you guys can know what to expect. Maybe you can decide what's right for you. Maybe you just want a monocular, maybe you just want a clip-on, maybe you just want a scope, maybe you want something that does all of it, the price points, kind of what to expect with resolution, and just use cases. But that's a quick look. If you guys have any questions in particular, I'll try to get on to the comments as fast as I can. If you guys want to see any thermal video on its own, let me know. I could probably throw that on the second channel if that's more helpful. And let me know if that's something you guys want, and I'll go ahead and get on it. But anyway, I'm fatigued. That was a lot of talking. I think that does it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time.